let's move on from Blackest Night. And I'm curious what you have for us, Andrew, because I we talked about a couple books that we
Mhm,
could talk about.
mhm.
So I'm curious which one you landed on, whether it's the one you've been reading or not.
Whether it's the one that I've been bringing up so many times. So it was a little hard to choose. I was originally gonna talk about deceased, being as I'm bringing it up so often, right?
Yeah.
Um, well, see, it's funny enough. Funny enough, I okay, so the my first venture into the my superhero turned zombies thing was not from Blackest Night. I was familiar with the concept, but I can tell, okay, they're using the Black Lanterns as a um as a zombie virus pretty much, but without
Mhm.
saying it, you know? So it's sort of dipping their toes, but it's not actually doing it. And then when I was in high school, a buddy of
Man,
mine
I
decided to
think
traumatize me with this Bible, which, by the way, I still got to give him back. If you're seeing this, please pick it up, Jonathan. I love you, man.
you
Thank you for
you
giving
you
it to me.
let me borrow it.
I
That's
let
how
you
bad this
borrow it.
is.
Yes, because I'm like, dude, read this. This thing changed my life when I was younger.
He's never
Um,
coming back to get the book. Julius, read
I,
it.
maybe I don't know. Either way, though, he did start really good. And funny enough, he was somebody who I talked to a lot about Robert Kirkland's Walking Dead a lot,
Hmm.
and Marvel Zombies, I think started by Kirkland, right?
Yeah, yeah,
He did a lot of
it
the
was
early animation.
introduced the concept in Ultimate Fantastic Four, where Reed Richards of the Ultimate Universe uh, came in contact with an alternate version of himself that looked to be the main universe version, but it tricked him, and it was the Marvel Zombies version of him, which is where this comes from.
Oh, a little sneaky Reed Richards. Um, so you're familiar. You
You
are
stretchy
familiar with.
dead bastard.
You're familiar with
I
both,
am
right?
familiar.
Marvel Zombies and DC's.
Oh yes, I really like. I think I actually like DC's the bit more, to be honest. But
So
Marvel
that's
Zombies is
exactly
a
what.
very cool one.
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, it started it. Um, and I was a huge fan of it. Sorry, where I was gonna go originally was that when I was younger, I had to put the book down because it got a little too intense for me. But
Hmm.
a couple months passed, and I got back invested into the story, and I finished this giant textbook, and I loved it. I loved it. I didn't think that they were gonna do it again because of all those one-offs that they did with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers.
Oh yeah,
I know zombies isn't like a copyright thing, but like it seemed like, oh, let's just try it and then let's not invest too much, even though there is a fan base for it, you know? Um, which is why I actually really liked DC's take on the zombie run, not only because I thought they put their own twist on the zombies story, but also because it pushed Marvel to come out with the second Marvel Zombies was Resurrection,
yeah, yeah, something like.
which if you have not read, I highly recommend because funny enough, although Marvel Zombies won, I'll say, and DC's were huge favorites of mine. There's Marvel's second run of their zombies storyline actually was the one that I wanted to talk about tonight
Oh,
because
okay,
of
sick.
what they took not only from their original storyline, but from what they learned from this deceased storyline and how they can sort of make a modern twist of the zombies thing.
Okay.
That and their art style. I'm a sucker for that modern style. And they really up the quality of the drawings. And I think the roster was way bigger, which I feel like
Hmm.
all of us were like, yeah. Um,
Why so many original characters in between the original and now?
no, but it has been. No, I'm just
Oh man, I
dude.
already know
The
we're
Marvel
gonna see a
Zombies
Miss
one,
Marvel zombies.
She-Hulk zombies.
Oh hell yeah, I'm down with that. Let's go.
Oh, I'm sure that's out there in the cards, bro.
Oh, she a twerking zombie, bro. Come on, let's fucking go.
No, but so whatchamacallit? So I think one of the things, funny enough, that we were harping about I keep wanting to say animation. I'm sorry. The imagery.
Not
Fuck.
yet. That show hasn't come out
Not
yet,
yet.
Andrew. Not yet.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. The imagery that's used in the second run of Marvel Zombies, I feel like is a lot more similar to Deceased's run, but not their first initial run. I think it was one of their last chapters of their Deceased run when
Mhm.
the Super Sons were a little bit more grown into their roles. I don't know if they switched artists, but I noticed the different type of style. I wasn't sure if maybe that was to show the different time shift, but I noticed the similarities between that style and Marvel Zombies 2 style. Sorry, I'm a Resurrection. I don't know what which that
Return.
was an return. That was an initial hook for me, and then opening up with what was it, the Illuminati discussing
Hmm.
Galactus's drifting carcass. I'm like, okay, Marvel Zombies 1, you got me with the Fantastic Four alternate universe. You got me with Spidey swinging through the city panicking like hell. Like these are great hooks. But the Illuminati discussing Galactus's floating carcass,
Yeah.
what? Like,
Because
okay,
what do you
these are
even do
all
with
things I'd
that?
love to be curious. Yeah, especially yes, and these are the first few pages. Like, what? I liked what I liked that who's to say they got this from Deceased? Maybe they just wanted a different run at it. I liked that they didn't turn them into zombies and then stay with them as zombies. That was a big, I think, um, was a big thing that people liked in the first run was that, oh, these guys aren't just mindless zombies, that they retain some of their intellect, some of their powers even. Um, and in their second run, they still do, but they focus on survivors more so than redeemers, whereas the first story all throughout the continuations, it felt like, okay, we did it, and now we're trying to find a reason for it, either why it happened, where it's going, and where it'll end, or like it just felt like it kept going until it stopped. Whereas this second run, it feels like it's right away, it's kicking off with a purpose. It's setting things up, sort of like how in Deceased's run, you don't get it right away. You don't get all the answers, but as the issues come out, you're piecing them together, and you're like, okay, they sort of had this planned all along. In the second run of this Marvel Zombies, I already got that with the first few pages. It felt a little less chaotic and more organized chaos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a little bit of what's funny, King in Black, the book I wanted to talk about, just to bring up Null. But
Uh-huh.
in that, when I was reading a little bit of what I could today, um, where it's like the symbiotes invading the whole world, it's like an organized effort where it's very much the zombie dynamic, where it is the creatures coming into the world taking over the villains, kind of like Blackest Night. I mean, it pretty much is
Board
Marvel's
mentality.
Blackest Night. Yeah, exactly. The horde mentality and everything, and so like for it to be kind of like a weapon, rather than just like an occurrence like we see in so many zombie films, um like in 28 Days Later, or like Dawn of the Dead or anything. For it to be something manufactured and like aimed,
Hmm.
it gives it a whole other kind of insidious vibe to it, obviously,
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Um, I remember at first I was a little thrown off with Deceased's answer and the all Green Arrow says it best. Math is the death of us all. They chose to use an equation as a virus. I was a
Yeah.
little confused. I understand why they did, what they needed to make it something tangible yet intangible so that it can affect heroes of all kinds. Um, but it wasn't towards the end of the run where, I kind of opened my mind a little bit more to like not just simple math equation, because the anti-life equation was more than just a math problem. It was all
Right,
about the
right.
meaning of life and death. And so it was just their way of relating it to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it when they get really creative with the epidemic, right? Like
Hmm.
the source of it. Like with Blackest Night, it's Black Hand, the Black Lanterns, they're spreading like, because that's just what they're meant to do. Um, and they give certain powers. With King and Black, it's the symbiotes, which are sentient, but they're also a hive mind. And with this
Hmm.
one, it's an effort, you know what I mean? Like it's like an actual organized kind of like we're gonna take over everything. We're Marvel Zombies, bitch. We are.
Um, I know there was several branching storylines for the Marvel Zombies. I'm not sure which they kept as like the definitive start and end to that storyline because from what I remember, it can start two ways, but they're both similar in that they end in a loop, and it contains itself. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe they didn't do that with the second run, and Deceased, they ended it, they didn't do no time loop. I always thought that was a very interesting way of handling it. Like I didn't find anything too bad with it. I always thought, well, I guess because like when you're talking about a zombie apocalypse, yeah, that's not in our realm of solutions. But as a comic book way of answering that is like, how do we contain this? We just send it back to where it started, loop itself. I always thought, okay, that's pretty clever. To see how that evolved, just to show how we can still end it, but with purpose, and not just any normal like, oh, we win, here's a lesson, hurrah. But e- even the knowing what comes after that,
Yeah.
knowing how things change. I feel like, damn, they surprised me with their storytelling and
Oh, yes.
the
Recording in progress.
all right.
I believe we were talking about how Brandon Routh is the most underrated Superman actor.
I agree downright. And I think anybody who's got a right sensible mind would
I think
uh
so.
uh, for, no, I was ranting, I believe, about who
These
knows
zombies,
what.
man. These freaking zombies. Well, I think
These
what we were
zombies. You know
talking.
what?
I think we were talking a little bit about the kind of how there's a like a loop within the Marvel Zombies canon. Like there's never a clear definition of what is canon. Like one of
Hmm.
my favorite Marvel Zombies books is the Army of Darkness crossover where Ash jumps into the Marvel Zombies universe, but it's not the main universe of Marvel Zombies very clearly because he's
Yeah.
there. The Necronomicon uh is what started the kind of the apocalypse there. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, the canon's always kind of like everywhere, which is why it's clever that they're always like like actively rebooting within the books.
Hmm. Sort of cover their bases. Just be like, wait, let's do that again.
Yeah. It all started with a white light that no one knew what was going on.
After the third or fourth time reading that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna need something new now.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Well, that's what makes DC so engaging is that it's just like it's kind of like The Walking Dead for DC, where it it happened, the apocalypse happened, and now they just have to live in it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of my favorite parts about Deceased was the Outlaws storyline with the one following Red Hood and Deathstroke, I believe. Slade.
Yeah.
as they're just navigating their way through the city and fucking rescuing those kids and that yeah, just living in that zombie apocalypse. One of my favorite stories from that story comic.
Yeah, I mean there was a great one where it's like uh Lou Beetle and Booster Gold are like, wait a minute, why don't we just go back in time and stop it from happening? And then, things happen to where it's like, no, this timeline isn't it wasn't meant for it to change, this is what it was meant to be. It was
Messed
meant to
up.
die, you know? It's
Give me my
you're
Booster
an absolute
Gold.
point. Yeah, I need
Give
Booster
me my
Gold.
Booster Gold live action show, please. That's gonna
It's
rescue the
coming.
DC universe.
I hope so. You know who's playing Booster Gold supposedly?
Cool.
The rumor is Kumail Nanjiani.
Really?
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. I can kind of see
I
it.
can see it. He's just not like who everyone was banking on very clearly.
Who was every who are the people banking on Julius?
I think most people wanted Glenn Powell to play Booster Gold.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah,
Everybody wants Glenn Powell these days.
everyone wants him. Look at him. He was just in the Family Guy 25th anniversary special, Halloween Spectacular, as the
Was
Pumpkin
he? Oh
King.
my God.
Don't ask me how
This
I
guy's
know this,
blowing up. How do you know this, Julius?
because I watched it.
All right. We've had enough.
I'm sorry. Yeah, man, but these books are pretty
No.
spooky.
Yeah, no. I recommend the Blackest Night. Recommend both Marvel Zombies runs. Recommend Deceased, one of my favorites, if not my favorite, interpretation of the zombies apocalypse in a superhero world. And to step away from zombies but keep it horror, one of my new, actually two of my new favorite storylines that I am also recommending to the people is ooh, was it? It's Nightwing's story with the vampires. I'm not sure if
Oh
you're
yeah,
familiar.
the DC vampires, right?
DC, yeah, I think I don't know if that's just what it's called, vampires, or if they had a label, but that one's a very good horror run where you don't know who's turned like zombies, but this time they're vampires, so that it's like a little bit more cat and mouse, cloak and dagger. And that one was, I love that story. The ending I thought was also very unexpected, but here's hoping for more. Um, and, well, I think it was Blood Hunt or something. No, I think who knows.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay. Because I know that Crystal has a vampire book for DC.
I mean, are you familiar with it? It's
No, I
literally
mean I
like
haven't read
it's
it.
all of DC. It's basically like a zombies run, but vampires. Like Justice League turns Batman and his crew. He's like he has to figure out which one's turn, which like it's really cool. If you haven't read it, have you
No, I
not?
haven't. I would want to read it. I never, I
Oh
always
my
think
God.
when it comes to like if we're gonna horrorize a book, let's do zombies, but I very
Yeah, no, that's
rarely think of
everybody's
vampires.
go-to, but no, that one was so good, especially because if you're not familiar, oh, I think Blood Hunt is Marvel's interpretation of the vampire thing. Forgive me. Um,
Oh, okay,
DC
with Dracula and
does
everything.
have. I'm not too sure because I remember I don't want to give it away too much, but I remember us one of some random superhero being a vampire, and it was like, oh, I didn't expect that. But I'm sorry. That's another avenue of horror that I feel both have done really well. I'll look up what storylines I'm referencing specifically, but there's another avenue if you don't want to go zombies, if it's a little too blood and guts, vampires, really, really good. And another one, which was recent, what they did it back in the day, but a recent one was DC's Aliens collaboration. I thought
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah,
been
yeah.
reading it. I thought that was a really good horror comic modern story. especially with the twists that they I mean, I don't think everything's released yet, but with the twists that I've already read, I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that. And it's really, really fun and exciting if you're a fan of the Alien franchise as well.
Are you talking about the Avengers versus Aliens?
No, no. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry. Did I
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Avengers. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, because you tripped me out because they've done those, Superman and Batman versus Alien versus Predator and
Yeah,
Terminator.
no, those I've loved. Oh, dude, this old comic one I've read of Batman and Predator. Oh, that one was
Oh
really
yeah,
good. But no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Avengers and the Alien. The recent one for that one was I've been reading and I was like, damn,
yeah, that
really
one
good.
is pretty stellar. I really dig that one. Jonathan Hickman's writing it. Asad Ribics doing the art. The second
Hickman's
issue
a
is
good
coming
one.
out soon. Yeah, yeah, the second issue is coming out in November. So I actually said to Crystal that I was gonna lend her my copy of the first issue because she's all about um, Alien and
Alien.
everything. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Man, that is a really man. They get the feel of the just that Ridley Scott horror, that existential
In
horror.
the Marvel universe. Yeah, no, really, really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Oof. Man, you know what? You know what's a real horror?
What?
The fact that Joker 2 is going to streaming on October 29th.
Really?
I just found that within the
Wow.
same month. So I could have saved some money had I just waited. And then, but
You
you know,
know, like I said earlier, everyone was surprised about Joker 1. Everyone's surprised again.
because we're all Joker. That's the joke. Get it?
The joke's on me.
The joke is on me. Exactly.
I'm hoping Joaquin Phoenix Joker in comic form was the one from Deceased who gets gunned down by Harley in the alley and gets displayed on the Batmobile
You know what's really sad about that?
after
And
that
this will be real quick.
performance.
Yeah, well,
Sorry, go on.
this will be really quick before we wrap it up. But
Mm.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but you know, about anything. I'm not going to spoil anything about Joker 2 or Absolute Batman, which is what I'm going to bring up. But they actually do not make a nod to this Joaquin's interpretation of the Joker. I'm not going to say how, but they nod to it. And the fact that the movie did what they did, you know, makes me kind of sad. I was reading it and I was like, wow, it really did that. Wow, that kind of hurts.
Everybody's reaction to this movie, man. I haven't found a single person who's right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, everybody has had a bad opinion about it, and the people who I've heard nothing good about it have been pretty close-minded about things. So I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Here's to Joker 3.
well, there are gonna be people who like it, and Joker 3, yeah.
He
Um,
survived the stabbing. You know what? I'll give him that. This is what Jacob
just
said.
kidding.
This is what Jacob said, and I'm like, if they do that, maybe that'll save it. Is that if he survives the stabbing and that's the incident that causes him to go further beyond, and the third movie is just him being absolute mayhem, then I'm like, okay. But then what Jacob said, then that still leaves the second movie to be sort of filler, you know? So I'm like, either way, still a bad move on my part, but
Yeah, yeah,
who
that
knows if
was.
there's
I
going to be a
mean,
Joker 3.
that's us like in denial. That's like an in denial response to the film of like, nah. They just like he was never the Joker. He was just a Joker. So it's not false advertising. Because he was a Joker, a guy who went by Joker at some point, you know? Yeah.
Stop trying to save it, Julius. It's dead. It's dead in the water.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe we should have just stopped while we were ahead. How about that, DC?
You know what? Give me a Marvel Zombies movie led by Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, please. That man
There's
has
an idea.
clearly has clearly not retired the role. He he is really good at it. God damn it. He's saved the X-Men from so many different catastrophes. Let him save the Marvel Universe. He saved the fucking Marvel Universe with Deadpool. Let him save it again with Marvel Zombies.
Here's what
I
I
think
want,
if
okay?
Marvel Zombies were to ever focus on one character, Wolverine would be a good bet.
That's a brilliant point. Awesome idea. That's a good use of $200 million. But here's what I want.
Of
I
Hugh
want
Jackman,
I want Hugh Jackman right now.
Canadian's
Um,
treasure. I'm sorry,
I
Canada's
want
treasure.
yeah, exactly. I want a movie called Goblin starring Willem Dafoe, except at the end it's revealed that he wasn't the Green Goblin. It was actually James Franco. And James Franco stabs Willem Dafoe at the end. And then Spider-Man's not in it at all, because that's the trend.
Yeah, fuck.
I mean, Sony, watch out. Sony's gonna do that. Sony's gonna make
Hey,
a Green Goblin movie without Spider-Man in it, and it's gonna have
how
some
how
acclaimed actor.
how dare you? Okay, because where Joker 2 fails, Craven, baby. Craven. We shooting for the star.
It's gonna be a sad day when Venom 3 comes out, and it will be objectively better than Joker 2.
Craven's gonna be better than Joker 2. What are you
Yeah,
talking about,
Craven will be
Julius?
better.
The
Well, at
real
least he'll
question
be Craven.
the real question is when we're doing our double feature of Morbius and Craven, Julius. I'm waiting for that premiere. You got to get that going.
I know. I want to do you know what? That would be actually a really cool
All
discussion
right.
of Morbius. Morbius, like it's a social experiment of like m forcing people who know nothing about comic books or Spider-Man, especially watching them watch Morbius. Be like, what is this? Is this a comic? What is this?
Watch Joker 2 and Morbius side by side. Which one do you which one are you entertained more about?
Which one do you like more?
Which
Well,
one can
that's
you
one
handle more?
triple feature of Madam Web, Joker 2, and Morbius.
Stop, Julius. Stop. You stop right now. I almost walked out of Madam Web. Fuck you.
Almost, but no dice.
Almost. All right. What's his name? Adam Scott. He kept me in. All right.
Those four scenes, those three
I
and a half
know.
scenes he was in.
I was hoping he'd come back. Never did.
I never thought I'd be so happy to see Queens. Because I think you like Adam Scott is like your spirit animal. I think that's why you cared.
In human form.
Anyone. Exactly. Well, Andrew, we talked about some good comic book stuff.
Oh
It
yeah.
was fun. It was
Highly
good.
recommend.
I highly recommend as well. I highly recommend seeing Andrew in the podcast. And I highly recommend all of you watching these films coming out, The Shutter Angle and Golden Hour.
Good
Really fun
stuff.
stuff coming
Good
out.
stuff from this brilliant man here, possibly inspired by all of these comic storylines. Hey, we don't got a big budget, we don't got big animators, but we can make our own stories happen by this. Hopefully you guys enjoy.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. Andrew, thank you for helping me out. And
Hey,
by
thanks
the
for
way,
having me.
of course, I know I said it yesterday, but happy birthday once again.
Ah, thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
And Brian, go to bed.
Brian, happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday, Brian. My name's Brian. It's my birthday. All right. Have a good one. Stay safe and goodbye.
Deuces.